Hello, my thought for today is tears in a bottle. This is a bottle which I brought back from Bermuda, which contains sand, pink sand from Bermuda. But in Old Testament times, bottles were often used to hold precious ointment or perfume. And David in Psalm 56 verse 8 says, "You have collected all my tears in a bottle. You have recorded each one in your book." In the excellent film Brooklyn and the book by the same name, the main character, Ailish, she is living in Southern Ireland in a small village and she leaves that town and goes across the Atlantic to New York and to Brooklyn, where she seeks to find a new life. So she's homesick at first, but she settles down eventually and gets a job, a boyfriend, and an exciting life full of colour and interest. And then she gets the sad news that her beloved and only sister back in Ireland has died. And it's the 1950s, so she travels back on boat to Ireland, and by the time she gets back, her sister has been buried and the funeral is over. And she goes to her sister's graveside and she begins to talk to her sister about all the things that she's been doing and all the exciting things that have happened to her. And then the tears begin to flow and she says, "I wish you were here. I wish things were different." And of course they were wishes that will remain wishes. And it seems that the sadness of the death of her sister sort of cancels out all the excitement and colour of the new life that she has found in Brooklyn. You know, although some writers such as the popular author and Radio 4 commentator Steven Pinker likes to suggest that life on this planet is getting better. But you can't get away from the fact that the statistic that 1 out of 1 people die. The coronavirus death statistics confront us every day. And like you, you might like me, you might sometimes find you're watching the news with detached indifference. But you know, for every death there is a loss and a trail of grief and sorrow that won't be tracked by any government app. There's a grief that can't be spoken. There's a pain that goes on and on. Empty chairs and empty tables. Now my friends are dead and gone. That's of course, from the well-known film Les Miserables. But there is this almost universal feeling of loss and pain when someone we love dies. How dare death invade our happy lives? It shouldn't be like this. Death is often an unwanted and uninvited guest, and death itself causes so much pain and grief. So does the Bible speak in to this situation when people are suffering such grief? Well, of course it does. And in his sermons on the Beatitudes, John Calvin attacks the stoicism of his age. He says, "We are not after all without feelings like those madmen who expect us to remain as immovable as an anvil or a rock." And when he's commentating on the Beatitude, blessed are those who mourn, he says this. He says, "What we must do is learn to weep before our God. It is to him that our tears must send us. Just as someone looks after a precious perfume or costly ointment, so David says, God stores up our tears. Of course, tears fall to the ground, or else we wipe them away with our hand. Nevertheless, we weep before God. Not one tear will be lost. God will carefully preserve them all." What a tender thought that is. that God stores our tears in a bottle. And it's a wonderful thing. And Calvin knew all about grief and suffering. He lost his wife and all of his children in death, and so he knew practically what this was all about. So that's my thought for today: tears in a bottle. But let's make it more personal than that as we think about that, because David made it more personal. Your tears stored in God's bottle. The person that you love or may have lost is not a statistic, and that aching sorrow that you feel is not lost on God. Just to close this thought, some words from Katharina von Schlegel in the hymn, Be Still My Soul. Be still my soul, the Lord is on your side. Bear patiently the weight of grief or pain. Leave to your God to order and provide. Through every change, he faithful will remain. God stores your tears in his bottle.